Thank you for coming. We are pleased to have so many of you here. Could have had a few more. Maybe next year we'll have a higher count. But you got to admit, isn't it great to meet over an actual potluck as opposed to only virtual? Virtual's good, but real people and real food we can't beat. So we are going to start though with another blessing from our pastor, Father Kyle.
Thank you, Ronnie. Since it's our 75th year as a parish, I figured, our 75th anniversary prayer would be a great way to start off. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Gracious God, source of all blessings, we give thanks for 75 years as a parish family. Celebrating our past, we rejoice in our present, and embrace the future with eager hearts. We pray that you continue to make your love known among us. Give us a zeal for mission. Help us look beyond our walls to those who don't know the joy of your love. Embolden us to be a source of hope and light. May everything we do begin with your inspiration and reach perfection under your guidance. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Now back over to Ronnie.
I actually did introduce myself, most of you might know, but I'm Ronnie Lindeman. I am the chair of the Pastoral Council and have been keeping that group under control. First on our agenda is going to be the financial condition of our parish. Brad Powers is the chair. He is not able to be here tonight, but he has sent a very good representative. Riley Smith is here to present the financial report. Riley?
Thank you. As Ronnie said, my name is Riley Smith. I'm a student at Iowa State University in the Master of Finance program, and I've been a parishioner here at STA since 2018 and a member of the Finance Council since 2019. And as we talk about the financial condition of the parish today, I thought it's important that we view it through the lens of our parish mission. At St. Thomas Aquinas Church and Catholic Student Center, we are gathered in the Holy Spirit, a diverse and vibrant community transformed by Jesus Christ in the Catholic tradition and sent to be the presence of God in Ames, Iowa State University, and the world. The message that I would like to share with you today is that our parish is in a financially strong position, and we're excited and financially prepared to encounter the post-pandemic world. We're anticipating a surplus for the 2021-2022 fiscal year, which has been driven by historically low expenses during the pandemic. As far as the 2022 to 2023 fiscal year, we are anticipating a balanced budget as expenses continue to increase as we continue to hold parish activities such as we are today. And it's really wonderful that we're able to continue gathering as a parish. This year's surplus is expected to be between $80,000 to $100,000. And historically, we've been saving a portion of the surpluses from past years to prepare for times like the pandemic or other lean times in our parish and in the economy, as well as to prepare for expensive building and maintenance items such as repairing the HVAC system and other repairs, which we'll discuss briefly today. But as far as our savings, we're in a strong position and have been prepared to incur these upcoming expenses with buildings and grounds. This year's expenses, as I mentioned, have continued to be low. While we have seen some increases over the past few months as we've continued to hold more parish activities. And as far as the parish income goes, it is a little lower than years past to date, but we anticipate that catching up by the end of the fiscal year, which is the end of June. And a small factor in that is that the offertory basket wasn't passed around until partway through this fiscal year. Looking at the budget for 2002 to 2023, As I mentioned, we're anticipating a balanced budget as expenses continue to increase, but we also anticipate more activity in the parish, more involvement, and translating into some increases in giving as well. I did mention earlier that our parish has been diligently saving. Currently, our operating reserves have $337,000, and our capital improvements fund have $307,000. So the operating reserves is we both anticipate that will help us absorb increased expenses as parish activity increases as well as inflation, but it also just helps for lean times like the pandemic. And the capital improvements fund, we've really been saving up for some upcoming big expenses such as boilers and HVAC systems, etc. So a few of those expenses in the 2022 to 2023 fiscal year, we'll be replacing the boilers, a water heater, and piping, which will cost approximately $195,000, with replacing and repairing 3 air handling units in 2023-2024, which will cost approximately $75,000. So that current balance of the capital improvements fund is $307,000, as I mentioned. And those anticipated repairs amount to approximately $270,000 over the next 2 years, which will leave $37,000 in the capital improvements fund, all else equal. A few additional deferred maintenance items that are coming up are window replacements to reduce heat loss, as well as replacing additional air handling units. And I did want to mention just kind of how the financial condition of the parish ties into really what we're able to do with our mission, and highlighting some things that happened in campus ministry this year that really helped the parish deliver on the message of being gathered, transformed, and sent. So in terms of being gathered in the Holy Spirit, a diverse and vibrant community, the Welcome Back Cookout had more than 300 students and a lot of parish volunteer involvement. TNL, or Thursday Night Liturgy, has seen more than 130 students on average, and there have been 8 Come Awake events with more than 125 students on average. In terms of being transformed by Jesus Christ in the Catholic tradition, there were a lot of retreats this year with more than 180 students participating in the New Student Retreat, Antioch Retreat, and Authentic Love Retreat collectively, and more than 500 students participating in small groups, more than 80 students participating in discipleship, as well as more than a dozen student leadership formation sessions that help to prepare these students to be the presence of Christ in our community. Additionally, in terms of being sent to be the presence of God in Ames, Iowa State, and the world, our students went on 4 mission trips this past year to New Mexico, Ames, Denver, and El Paso. And additionally, we'll have 7 graduating students who will go on to be focused missionaries on other college campuses. And student leadership had more than 80 students this past year. So I think that helps talk about how our parish's financial condition helps support the mission of the different ministries that we have. There's a lot of exciting ministries and exciting things going on here at St. Thomas, and we look forward to helping support that going forward. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them afterwards, and as well as if you have any interest in learning more or joining the Finance Council, I'd be happy to talk with you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Riley. What a great comprehensive report. Loved hearing all the tangents there.
Heck of a name, too.
A heck of a name.
Yeah, Riley.
There you go, heck of a name, Riley. Roman, you always add a little extra spice. Now we hear from our great leader. Father Kyle will tell us the state of the parish and how we've weathered all the storms this year. Right?
Thank you very much, Ronnie. Alrighty, so this is officially titled the State of the Parish Address. So there are a lot of details and numbers and stuff, and Riley, you did a phenomenal job. Thanks for sharing some of the finance stuff, but not just the finance stuff. What that finance stuff is doing is the important part. So it's cool to see some of those metrics, some of those sorts of things. But I want to give you, in terms of the state of the parish, a little like window into my mind as I look at the parish. It's a frightening place to be, I know. In my mind, it's scary sometimes. But I just want to give you kind of a snapshot of sometimes when I look at our parish, kind of the cool things and the beauty that I see. So this morning I was praying before Mass, and as I was praying, to be totally honest, I was a bit overwhelmed just because there were a lot of things going on. So I was trying to like keep everything straight in my mind. And I was thinking 8:30 Mass, we were receiving someone into the church at the 8:30 Mass, and then afterward we had, there was a couple celebrating their 40th wedding anniversary, so we had anniversary blessings at the end of Mass, and then I was going to do a renewal of vows for that couple celebrating 40 years. And then at 10:30 we had a baptism, and also had the family Mass with the children doing a lot of things. And then after all of that, we have the All Parish Meeting. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to keep this all together? And in the midst of the sort of, kind of overwhelmingness, I just sort of had a moment of, we got a lot of awesome stuff going on in our parish. What a great thing to have. I will gladly be overwhelmed every Sunday morning of my entire life if it means we're doing great stuff in the parish. So, it was a pretty cool moment of like, all right, Jesus will take care of this. Like, turns out if you trust him, he actually does take care of you. So that's a pretty cool thing. Anyway, what a great blessing to be able to have so many things going on in a single day. Okay, usually I like to keep these short and succinct as much as possible, like my homilies, but I actually have a lot of stuff I want to talk about, so here we go. First thing, of course, we celebrated our 75th anniversary this year, which was pretty awesome. So first and foremost, I just want to give a thank you to Ann Crapful, as well as the entire 75th anniversary committee. They put in a lot of work, meetings, planning, a lot of behind the scenes work. So Ann, thank you so much for all of your help, as well as the whole committee helping plan that. We had a wild and crazy party, which was a lot of fun. I was jealous of the kids' balloon animals, especially their hats, actually, like the unicorn hats that Josie got, right, Josie? But it was just a great party, great together. Kind of wish the weather would have been a little bit nicer, but an awesome party to be able to get together and come together. We're looking at possibly doing a summer celebration, a summer parish picnic as well, just because it's great to get together. One of the things I love when we have like an all parish get together or a picnic like that is people meet each other and they're like, oh, I don't know you. I go to Saturday night Mass. And they're like, oh, I go to 10:30 Mass. And I take it for granted because I see all of you every weekend. But I take for granted that sometimes we don't see each other because we're at different Masses. And sometimes people know each other outside of the church. So it's just great to be able to come together to celebrate. So we're looking at possibly in July doing kind of a family picnic thing together. We'll see what the weather's like. It'll probably be warmer than the 75th celebration that we had, which was a little bit chilly. So also we had our closing Mass, and so we got to sort of highlight especially our three founding members who are still here, so it's cool to be able to highlight them, as well as welcome back some alumni and past pastors and associates. So fun to celebrate 75 years. My favorite part of those was just hearing stories from the past. It kind of reminds me of family reunions when I hear stories about the old days and what Uncle so-and-so used to do and what Grandpa used to do, all those sorts of things. It's just cool to hear those stories of the impact that our parish family has had over a number of years. So it's just cool to be able to celebrate those 75 years. We'll do it again in another 75 years, or 25, we'll do it for the 100th. I'll still be here, hopefully. That'd be great. Okay, I want to give just a brief update on the Monsignor Supple Chair of Catholic Studies at Iowa State. We've done, the university's done a couple searches to try to find a qualified candidate. Both of those searches have been unable to find a qualified candidate that meets the vision and the intention of the donors for that position. Right now we're at the stage of laying out kind of all the options. What can we adjust? What can we figure out? What are options of how to move forward to be able to meet the vision, to do what we can do in that position, to have a presence on Iowa State University on an academic level with the students. So right now we're not sure exactly what that might look like, but we're just getting creative, laying out all of the options and saying, okay, where can we go from here? So once we got all the options, we'll discern where God might be calling us to move forward with that in the future. I want to say a word as well about Realm, our online database. So you've heard of Realm before. We did some registration earlier in the year on those small cards, and then people were put into the Realm database. I want to ask for your help with that Realm database. I know it's a change, And if you're anything like me, you don't like change and you don't want to have something different. So I just want to ask for your help and for your cooperation to embrace the online database, which is a bit different. And to be able to say, hey, I'm willing to do this. I used to work at a Fairway store when I was 14. I got my first job when I was 14. Worked at a Fairway store taking out groceries. And the manager always had the phrase, he would always say, work smarter, not harder. Think about what you're doing. Is there a more efficient way to do it to save time? Work smarter, not harder. The purpose behind Realm, the intention behind it, is that all of us can work smarter, not harder. Not just the staff for STA, but also all of you. So Realm, being an online database, makes it easy for you to check financial statements. It's always available to you on your computer, on your phone. You can check availability of different programs that you want to be a part of, things you want to volunteer for, how many people are signed up for this, how many people are in that, is there an opening to help serve funeral luncheons, are there servers that are needed for Mass, is there whatever going on, you can always check that. It's also a really great, if you're anything like me, like those pictorial directories, you look at them every once in a while, but you lose them, like real fast. It's really nice to be able to have this as a directory. You can always access it and say, hey, I need to contact so-and-so, here's their email address, I can send it out. Or that person that sits behind me in Mass, I forget their name, and it's another 4 months before name tag Sunday, so that I can look at their name tag and remember. Checking the pictorial directory, or the directory on there, can be a great way to do it. I guess one favor that I'd ask over the summer is if you've registered on one of those cards, then you're entered into the Realm database. I just want you to take time to make sure that you can log into your profile. So give a shot to log in. If you can't, if you forget your password, totally fine. It's probably the same password you put on everything else, so give that a shot. If that still doesn't work, feel free to call the parish office. Elizabeth does a great job kind of walking through things. But just make sure that you can log in at some point this summer, because in late summer, we're revising the time and talent, the talents and interest sections. Late summer, early fall, we're going to do time and talent survey and be able to have everybody fill those out electronically during Mass, kind of like we used to with the paper sheets and everything, but we're going to do it online. So I'm going to invite everyone to bring their phones, their smartphones with them to Mass and be able to bring them out. It's the only time you're allowed to do it. You're forbidden to do it any other time, Carl especially. So we'll invite you to bring your phones to be able to fill that out while we're at Mass, kind of like we used to. It'll be electronic, but similar to the list that we used to fill out for time and talent. Okay, so just asking for your help to embrace that new system, to work smarter, not harder. Okay, I want to give you a quick update on the strategic plan. Last summer, we put together a strategic plan for the parish, a 3 to 5 year strategic plan. In that strategic plan, we had 9 initiatives that we came up with that we were going to work on for 3 to 5 years. During the course of the first 3 months or so with those 9 initiatives, we found them to be a little bit unwieldy. 9 initiatives was a lot to try to keep tabs on to make sure we were constantly moving forward. And actually, so I have a priest group that I meet with once a month, and they were making fun of me, playfully but pretty hard, like 9 initiatives, are you serious? Like that, you think you can take that on? How prideful are you? Anyway, they were mostly playful, but it was quite funny. And so I was like, okay, yeah, maybe we could sort of humble ourselves, draw it back a little bit. And from those 9, we focused on 5 that we were already kind of getting the ball rolling on, and wanted to keep moving forward for this year. The other ones aren't out of the picture, they're just sort of tabled for right now. We'll revisit them this summer to bring them back up, see where we're at, and move forward. So I just want to kind of talk about those 5 initiatives. The first has to do with Catholic social teaching, being able to study, learn more about Catholic social teaching, social justice, as well as doing things. So some things we've got going on, a study of Laudato Si, the papal document on the environment, as well as we're collaborating with St. Cecilia's for care of God's creation, care of the environment. Second, we've been working to enhance our young adult presence and outreach. So Kayak is a young adult group between both St. Thomas and St. Cecilia's. So we're going to try to revitalize that and get as much behind that as possible. There's been some cool things going on with grad students. Jackson actually has been very helpful with that stuff. So it's cool to see, sometimes it's easy that grad students just sort of get lost in the shuffle of everything. Like, undergrads, we got tons of stuff for you. Parishioners, like, baptism, we got sacraments, we got stuff, grad students, whatever, go study. So it's
So we should be doing. Back to your lab.
So it's pretty cool to have some stuff for grad students. Literally just this weekend there's a student that's transitioning from undergrad to graduate, and he's nervous. He's like, what do I do now? And he's kind of actually just getting more into his faith. And it's like, well, funny you should ask, because we actually have some good ministry for grad students. So anyway, okay, number 3, to have a more robust ministry to young families especially, we used to have, I can't remember what it was called, like a PYC, Parents with Young Children group, and right, it turns out parents with young children are really busy. Not that I know these things. But it's really hard to be able to kind of get those together. So we've been focusing a lot on getting parents with young children or young families to have support, to have things that can help them really be a strong family. So we had a Parents with Young Children small group during Lent with the idea of carrying on that community and having a regular community that can meet, get together, and really support the mission of young families in our parish. 4th, one thing that I'm pretty excited about is working on defining the next steps following sacraments. So what happens a lot is people will come to St. Thomas or come to the parish for sacraments, baptism, marriage, confirmation, but then we sort of see a radical drop-off of involvement right after that sacrament. And so we're just being intentional about defining, okay, what are the next steps right after whatever sacrament's received, to keep people engaged and to serve, to love and serve, because we do a great job preparing people for sacraments, but then what we do helping them live them out is kind of the big question. So the main one we've been focusing on the last 9 months is baptism. So when parents come bring their child for baptism, we prepare them. And the next steps following that are to be able to reach out to them, invite them to the Parents with Young Children small group, invite them to have their house blessed as a family, to be able to come together, have their house blessed. We're going to do maybe what we're looking at is a yearly, we don't know what we're going to call it. One name that was floating around was Brews and Babies. So we'd have like a beer for the parents and be able to celebrate the baptism of their child and just have a chance for young families to get together. So we'll see what we actually do, but that was one of the names floating around. Okay, next we'll look at, Deacon Frank said, you'll have more kids, which is great, more baptisms. Deacon Frank's volunteering to offer the brews for that. All right. And the last one, the 5th one, was to institute a family mass, a regular family mass. So we just had our first family mass this Sunday, which was pretty nice to be able to see all the kids hanging out. It would be nice to kind of keep that going on a regular basis. Continue the kids being able to help out at mass is always a good thing. Right, so this has been the first year of that, and we kind of started it last summer. We put it in last summer. So the Pastoral Council, what we do is we quarterly review where we're at, and we identify that initiative. We identify, are we on track? Are we off track? Are we behind schedule? Have we completed it? And so we sort of give it a rating. If it's not on track, then the Pastoral Council member that's in charge of that contacts whoever the leader of that initiative is and says, hey, we're a little bit off track. What do you need to be on track? Do you need resources? Do you need help? What do you need to be able to get that back on track? So we review it quarterly, make sure that we're on track, or we have what we need in order to be on track, and then we go from there. This summer, and every summer after a year, we'll reevaluate everything. So some of the initiatives might actually just sort of fade away. The need for them might actually go away. So it might be like, okay, we had this initiative, but we actually don't need it. It doesn't really fit with where we're at right now. Some other things might come up. We might need to adjust things so we can be adaptable to figure things out. Some things will get completed in a year or two. We're going to be like, hey, the young adult group is awesome. So they're going. We've met that initiative. Let's focus more on some other things. So this summer we'll review all of that with a strategic plan. Okay. Our sister parish in Honduras. I got to go to Honduras in January. It was awesome to be able to get down there, and that seems like forever ago. I can't believe it was just a few months ago. A couple things that I want to share about that visit. It was enjoying to be able to get down there and see the people of our sister parish. certainly to meet Padre Herman, but especially to see the people, to see the sites, to see where they actually live, and to see like how much our mission as a sister parish affects them. The reason I wanted to go down there is because when I first got here, I heard we had a sister parish in Honduras. I thought it was really exciting. I drank the coffee, literally and figuratively, and it was delicious. And I was excited, that was great. I sort of cared, but like you can only care so much until you actually meet the people, until you see what's going on and actually experience what's going on. So even sort of during the pandemic, I was sort of chomping at the bit, like, I want to meet them. I want to care more. Like, I do care, but you can only care so much until you meet them. So that was a big impetus for why I wanted to go down there, is really invest my time and be able to meet and see them. So it was pretty great. The scholarships we provide is incredible. The Coffee Association, not only the appreciation for what we do in collaboration with them, but it's such a sort of foreign concept, no pun intended, of how to just sort of work business and collaborate as farmers. We're doing some pretty awesome things to just be able to change the sort of cultural setting down there, and we can continue to do some pretty awesome things. Next steps for that, what I would like to do is, I'd love to get people down there, but like safety is always an issue and stuff. But I'd kind of like to bring some of them up here for us to meet some people from our sister parish, to hear about how the scholarship program helps people out, to bring people from the Coffee Association to come up and actually meet them. Because if we sent people down there, we could send, a dozen people or whatever, and they'd get to know about it great. But if we bring them up here, and we get to see them after Mass, get to talk to them, that could be really awesome, and that affects the whole parish. Everybody gets to see it. What that looks like, I don't know. I'm just like trying to dream here and figure out what we can do. But yeah, details, I'm talking to the Honduras Committee, as well as Cafe El Zapote, trying to figure out what that might look like. So, and Deacon John as well. So yeah, what that'll look like, I don't know, but it's a dream. I want to make it happen. We'll see where it goes from here. Okay, anything else I want to say about it? Oh yeah, I want to share just a couple quick reflections. The lay leadership down there when I went to visit was just incredible, and they have to, because we went one day, we drove about 2 hours to one of the furthest parishes to have Mass, and they only have Mass once every 2 months. So a couple things that I learned over there, like we're really spoiled in our Catholic Church in America. Like we think we have a priest shortage, like it's really hard to go from 2 priests to 1 priest when I came here. No, it's not. Like y'all get Mass on the weekend, so stop complaining. But it's like it really is amazing how faithful they are to go to Mass. To be there, to lead prayer, worship together in their communities. So we go to this church, they haven't had Mass in 2 months just because the priest can't get out there. It takes forever to get out there, and he has 36 other churches that he needs to get to. My favorite part about it is when we got there, they started setting off these small, firecrackers, a little bit bigger than firecrackers, like somewhat explosives, and I'm like, well, I guess that's a hobby, you just throw explosives every once in a while. And then it dawned on me, those are the church bells. Like, that was the sound that everybody in the village knew, hey, the priest is here, we're going to have Mass in like a half hour from now. And so people they're setting off a few of these explosives, and people literally just start coming down the road, and they're coming to Mass. And they're dressed really nice too. It was really impressive to see, and well coordinated. Anyway, I've got other stories. I'll probably weave them into homilies in the future. So, great. Okay, last couple things. You might have seen in the bulletin, this summer I'll be gone for a couple weeks for a spirituality program that takes place down in Florida. I just want to give you a little bit of kind of what that's all about and what's behind all of that. So I've been thinking about doing some ongoing priestly formation and study for a while now. I've always heard other priests say, make sure that you keep learning yourself, you keep growing, you keep deepening your faith, because you're not going to be any good for anyone else. You can't expect anyone else to deepen their faith unless you're deepening your faith. So I'm like, well, what does that look like? Whatever. So I've been discerning this for a while. The reason I want to do this program, it's a spiritual theology program, training for spiritual direction in particular, that focuses on healing, deeper healing of kind of some wounds, some baggage that we can have. And the reason that I want to do this is because, number one, I think I've become more aware of my own woundedness and my own sort of past baggage, that I recognize, okay, if I don't sort of see Christ's healing and seek healing in this, then I can start wounding others by that. And I don't want to do that. My parish means too much for my own woundedness to then get in the way of other things. The other thing is I've recognized that woundedness is in so many people's lives. I see it a lot of times in college students, but in anybody's lives. None of us are without wounds, without past baggage. And I oftentimes in situations, I feel helpless. I don't quite know what to do. Again, turns out when we trust Jesus, he takes care of us. But I also just want to be a little bit more equipped to be able to accompany people, to work with people, and to help them on the process of deeper healing. Because I think it's such a needed thing. I think especially in our world today, there's just so many mechanisms for being hurt or being wounded, and that can continue to be pervasive. So I want to be an agent or a priest to be able to help with that, and I've felt a great desire to be better at that. So the program takes place over the summer. It's 2-week sessions. So I'll go down in-person intensive study sessions for 2 weeks. And it takes place over 3 years. So every June for the next 3 years I'll go down, and then I'll finally get my diploma. Dun, 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 dun. And yeah, that'll be great. What I do want to ask for a favor on that. I think it can kind of be easy to treat it as like Father Kyle's vacation to Florida. It's not going to be a vacation. Now, don't get me wrong. I really want to go to a Tampa Bay Rays game when I'm down there. I've never been to a Rays game or anything, and my cousin's actually down there. But like the schedule is from classes start, or it starts with mass at 8 o'clock, classes at 9 o'clock, and then they end for 2 hours from 3 till 5. But then from 5:30 until 8 are practicum sessions, working with people, accompanying with people, sort of directing, spiritual direction and healing. So right, I mean, it's like morning to night pretty much. There's not going to be much time. And so anyway, what I'm asking for you is just understanding that when I'm gone, I won't be here physically or personally. But right, it's not exactly time off. I want this training, I want this ability to grow so that I can come back and serve you better. That's the idea. Not abandoning you like a deadbeat father, right? So, I do actually have this fear, like, the spiritual children. So, anyway. Okay, during that time this summer, we're going to be waxing the floor in the chapel, so stay tuned for some things there. But we won't have daily mass for a couple weeks, and it'll actually give us time to wax the floor because it's getting really pretty rough up there. So that'll kind of dovetail somewhat nicely. Last thing I want to mention, you might remember Casey Flack, who was our seminarian for a period of time, a semester and then a summer. He'll be ordained a transitional deacon on Labor Day weekend. Labor Day weekend? Memorial Day weekend. Memorial. All right. Memorial Day weekend. So keep him in your prayers. And then a year from then, he'll be ordained a priest. You're certainly more than welcome. It's at the cathedral in Dubuque. Just hop in the car and drive 3 hours. But he's pretty excited, and it just asks for your prayers, so keep him in your prayers as he prepares for that sacrament of ordination. Nora seems overwhelmed. So that's pretty much all I've got that I want to share. Any questions?
I have a question.
Absolutely.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
Aren't those the devil rays?
Yes, they are the devil rays. I specifically exercised that phrase and just called them the rays. Good work, Roman. Mary?
I have actually have two.
Mm-hmm.
The first, staffing. Are we fully staffed? Are we needing anything?
Yeah, good question.
And then my other question
Yep.
relates to all the people I haven't seen who are maybe resident parishioners who are maybe upward in age,
Mm-hmm.
who I haven't seen for 2 years. You're kind of concerned about them. Is there a ministry?
Mm-hmm.
Are we doing anything about them or contacting them, involving them, inviting them,
Yep,
assuring them? It's
great question. First question was about staff, in case you didn't hear. So yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about a year ago at this time, there was a lot of staff transition going on. So first of all, our new staff members have been incredible. It was actually a bit overwhelming in the summer when all the new staff came on, so we're doing onboarding and getting them ready, and I was like, I think we've taken on too much at the same time. It was kind of crazy. But it's really cool to see them hit their stride now after a year. They get a year under their belt, they're moving forward, and it excites me to see them really clicking now, which is awesome. Part of the question was, are we fully staffed? We are staffed sufficiently to be able to, I think, do great things, and we are doing great things. However, my mind's always sort of working to sort of say, okay, how can we do things better? What more do we need? So one thing that's kind of in the hopper of thought is a director of communications. We've been thinking about that for a while. A lot of parishes have that can help out in different ways. The big question for me is it's sort of a moving puzzle that's always going on. So I'd love to have a director of communications in some way at some point, but how transitions are going to work in the future with retirements and positions and how those are going to fit together, I can't see the future and what that's going to look like. So I'm not sure exactly what that is. But I have sort of dreams and hopes for what we can continue to do. But with the new staff that we just took on right now, I think we're in a sufficient place to say, let's keep moving forward with what we got, and then we'll keep going from there. Second part of the question was about parishioners that we may have seen in the past, but haven't seen since before the pandemic, and maybe haven't seen in a couple of years. Couple things. One is we're reaching out to do the best we can to bring communion to anyone who can't make it to Mass because of health reasons or whatever the case might be. So that's the case there where we're trying to stay in contact as much as possible. Here's the big thing. I oftentimes get parishioners that come up and say, hey, I haven't seen so-and-so at Mass for a while. Could you give them a call? Or have you reached out to them? If you think of somebody in the parish that you haven't seen for a long time, I'm going to ask for your help. Could you give them a call? Reach out and say, hey, I haven't seen you at Mass. Just thinking about you, caring about you. And if you get an update, feel free to let me know. Because I'd love to, actually during the pandemic, Casey Flack and I were like, what are we going to do? We could sit around and play euchre all day, I guess, or something. So we just sat down with the parish list and literally just went calling as many people as we could through the list, which was great. But now that a lot of things are going on, there's no way I'd have the time to do that. So yeah, if there's somebody that comes to mind that, hey, I haven't seen them in a while, I wonder how they're doing, give them a call. If you need their contact information, give me a call at the office or we can contact Elizabeth. They'll probably be on the database, which you can access yourself. But feel free to just give them a call, ask them how they're doing. That would be great. If they'd like to receive communion, that's a list that's kind of always getting updated. Just let me know and we can make that happen too. And burn a bulletin for that matter. Yeah, Karen?
I think we're doing a lot of amazing stuff for our Iowa State students and families, but I guess for me, where we are at, having 2 teenagers at home, can we think about retreats for teenagers, for middle schoolers and high schoolers? I know that St. Cecilia does kind of stuff like that, but not, from what I understand, official retreats.
Yep. Yeah, so the youth ministry program for middle schoolers and high schoolers, both between St. Cecilia and St. Thomas, are joint programs, so we do all of our stuff together. There's a couple retreat opportunities. There's the National Catholic Youth Conference. I don't know if we did the Student Middle Conference this year or not. This summer we're doing Catholic Heart Work Camp, which is a pretty awesome thing, and I think it's hosted fairly close nearby. So those are always opportunities to kind of look out for and say, hey, what can we get involved in? So we try to be conscious of doing as many of those opportunities as we can without overloading the year with retreats and opportunities. So yeah, we're always trying to do the best to get as much out there as possible without kind of overloading the whole thing. So yeah, I think when I think about myself as a high schooler, whew, God help my religious ed teachers and the youth formators, because I just wasn't into it, and there's different forces going on and whatnot, so we always try to get creative with how do we engage, how do we help grow in the faith, so yeah. Carl, of course you got a question. I'm just kidding.
Did you say your brother priest told you have too many initiatives?
Yeah, they weren't necessarily telling me I had too many initiatives. They were sort of saying to take on 9 initiatives and to do them well might be a little bit overzealous, which I can tend to be sometimes. But anyway.
I agree.
Okay, yeah. Carl agrees, so everyone knows. Yeah, it was. We were excited about 9 initiatives, but very quickly within that first 3 months, it was like, okay, let's take a step back. And yeah, so they're good brother priests. They call me out on a lot of things. So, and I call them out too. Alrighty. Thank you all. One quick thing that I want to share with you, another reflection, just briefly, that I'll leave you on this. Just this last weekend is when the announcement was officially made of all the different priest moves in the Archdiocese. There are a fair amount of different moves going on. In the midst of all of that sort of thing, I remember thinking to myself, I am really glad to still be at St. Thomas. I'm really glad I'm not moving. And one of the big things that made me sort of recognize that is I've been here 4 years now, and the more I get to see different people grow in their faith, like literally every day I get to see the power of Christ transforming lives in the parish. And as that continues on, I continue to think to myself, I'm really glad to not be moving, and it sure would be good if I was here for the 100th anniversary as well. So anyway, thank you. Pray for me, and certainly know my prayers for you. God bless.
Thank you, Father Kyle. And yeah, how old will you be in 25 years? I shouldn't ask that.
62. I'll be 60.
Oh my goodness. We're all looking forward to seeing him as a 60-year-old, aren't we? We'll have you here for the 25th. And I wonder, should we bring firecrackers the next time we come to Mass? Don't let the kids hear that, right? Okay. Well, the next big thing on our agenda, of course, we have candidates ready for the Pastoral Council election coming up next week. That'll be at the evening and day masses for the whole weekend. There will be paper ballots this year. We're not going to do it online. Thank goodness. That's a little bit of a headache. And we'll do it in person next weekend and vote for people. I should start out by saying that we'll have 2 openings on the council. Dawn Bratch Prince has completed her first term and is running for election for a second term. She's the secretary acting right now and does a fabulous job, so I appreciate her. Emily has filled her first term of 3 years. She is making a life change and going to be moving to Des Moines, so she will not be able to be with us for the next 3 years, but we wish her the very best and thank her for her input as a teacher and an active parishioner, so thank you. So we have 3 folks that have said that they would run for election. Carol Baragi, I do not believe is here. So I will just read her little bio real quick, and I hope I'm pronouncing Baragi correct. Her husband Tom and she have a son Matt and a daughter Grace. They've been parishioners of St. Thomas for 3 years. She's a retired educator and would enjoy working and collaborating with others to accomplish common goals that help maintain and keep our parish moving forward. So she would be a good candidate. We have Luke Novak, who is here, and I will ask you, Luke, to just come forward and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Luke Novak. It's my rambunctious crew over there at that table. I'm sure you've been hearing them. So we're, as Father said, we're one of the 1030 crews. So there's a lot of familiar faces down here, but we've helped with coffee and donuts. My wife does faith formation. And we've really been active over the past few months, 6 months in family ministry. So that initiative that Father mentioned. So just a little bit of background about me. We've been parishioners here about 14 years in total. This is our second stint. Actually, we were here as students, actually before I was even Catholic. So I did RCIA here in the late, I don't want to age myself, but the late 2000s with Sister Lorraine, actually. Did RCIA here. And then we moved and came back in 2011, so right about 14 years as parishioners here. And so St. Thomas is, like I said, I wasn't even Catholic, so it's been a huge part of my formation as a Catholic. And I've seen the impact that it's had on people's lives, that it's had on my life. And I'd really like to move that forward with the family ministry and the ways that we can support everyone in the parish to become better disciples of Christ. So that's kind of my spiel. So with that, right, thank you.
Thank you, Luke. And then Dawn, would you like to come forward and say a few words?
Sure. So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dawn Bratch Prince, and I have been a parishioner at St. Thomas since 1990. I moved to Ames to take my first job. I'm a professor at Iowa State, a professor of Spanish. And my husband, Ray, who I don't know where he is right now, we met here. Our second date was 8:30 Mass, and we've been going to 8:30 Mass ever since. We have 3 children who were all baptized and received all their sacraments through confirmation here at St. Thomas. And it's really been a big part of our lives. Ray is, I guess, co-lead of the Coffee and Donuts ministry, as he calls it. And we've been involved with parents of young children, taking communion to the homebound, development, Pastoral Council, so a little bit of everything. And I'm completing a 3-year term on the Pastoral Council, and I've really appreciated Father Kyle's framing of St. Thomas as a family. I think that really resonates with me because it's been a family for me here for 32 years. And as with any family, we're a collection of very unique individuals. We all have our quirks. Some of us are more serious, some of us are more extroverted. We represent all different political views and leanings. We've got older people, we've got children, so it really is a family. But we share a common bond, and that's our faith. That's what makes us a family. So I really look forward to, if given the opportunity, to continue to make progress on our priorities, our visioning that the council has been working on. This is the first time that I recall us as a parish actually having forward-looking goals, and we're making progress on those. I sense a real eagerness and maybe renewed energy now that we're almost post-pandemic, and I think there's a real opportunity to continue to grow as a parish, and I want to be part of that, so thank you.
I just want to send a quick thank you out to our 2 student parishioners who have served on the parish council, Liza Nelson and Seamus Prendergast. They're both seniors. Liza actually graduating in May, and Seamus will be around 1 more year. Both are planning to stay real close and trying to stay very active in the parish. So they're 2 treasures for us, and we really appreciate all their input on the council. Let's see, there are student positions open then on the council, and I believe Father Kyle will be taking the lead on finding good representatives, so that's great. I think we're at a point to just give thank yous, and that would be to Alan Gall, who's behind the camera there. Thank you. He is our tech master right now, and you know what? The poor guy could use some help, so if any of you feel motivated, go talk to Alan. And then, of course, our kitchen staff folks, that would be Dawn and Ray, and I believe Ann and Dan, and Emily was helping, and of course the rest of the parish council did step forward too to help with food and things, as all of you did. So just a shout out again to Holly and Scott and Brad Powers, Steve Mahoney, Joe Holub, and Veronica Bresnahan are all members of the council. So, with that, I believe we can adjourn and say thank you. We'll see you next year.